Cardinal Lawrence is on his way to the church. The Pope has recently passed away. He joins the other cardinals and they make a prayer. The holy seat of the Pope is now vacant and they are in need of a Pope. Lawrence meets his best friend Aldo and asks how it happened. Aldo replies it's a heart attack. The Pope knew that his life would end soon but did not let anyone know. All the cardinals join to make a detailed statement of the Pope's passing since rumors pass through very quickly. Adami and Tremblay are there and they decide for the conclave to elect the next Pope. Lawrence is given the duty to run the conclave. The late Pope's body is taken away and his room is officially sealed. From the next morning, the conclave is being prepared and the hall is being sealed from all outside noises. He reads all the names of the candidates for the Pope from different countries or ethnicities that will arrive by the next day. All the cardinals have arrived, and as Lawrence and Aldo have met, Lawrence personally tells him that he is going to vote for him and declares that a lot of them will vote for him. Although Aldo has doubts that he is not worthy enough, Lawrence tells him otherwise. Aldo leaves saying it is still better to be him than Tedesco, who approaches Lawrence and they have a little fun chat. Lawrence tells Aldo that he had wanted to resign, but the Pope refused it. Aldo also knows that Lawrence has lately struggled with his faith as the Pope had told him. The Pope had also lost his faith in the church previously. Back at his office, Lawrence is met by Archbishop Wozniak. Wozniak is worried and tells him that he has kept a secret for him because Cardinal Tremblay has asked him to. He says that the day of the Pope's death, he had asked Tremblay to resign, but no one knows why, although the Pope said that the reasons would be clear soon enough. In the morning, O'Malley comes and tells Lawrence that another cardinal has turned up. He was never on their list, and as it turns out, his name is Vincent Benitez, and he is the Archbishop of Kabul who has come from many dangers of the violence and war in the country that is extremely intolerant to Christians. Lawrence goes to meet him and later adds him to the election, introducing him to the others. In the lunch, Tedesco asks Lawrence to sit with him and says that he looks anxious. He talks about tradition and says that this time an Italian like him should be the Pope. He points to Cardinal Adami and says that there should be no choice. At night, all the followers of Aldo are together and discuss the possible result of the election. They need to have 2/3 of the votes for Aldo. Aldo says that all the cardinals should know his view. He likes progressiveness, accepts gay rights, wants women to play more roles, and has no intention of returning to the repressive old times. He knows his views are the exact opposite of Tedesco's. Later, Lawrence meets Tremblay in his room and asks him about why the Holy Father asked for his resignation before his death. Tremblay denies the claims and says that Wozniak has been suffering from drinking issues lately and thus why he might have said this about him. Lawrence can't help but let him go and finally asks what he might have talked to him in the final meeting with the Father, but Tremblay says it was a private meeting and he cannot reveal. The first day of the conclave arrives and Lawrence announces the beginning of the first day of the voting with a heartfelt speech. After the speech, Lawrence meets O'Malley personally and tells him to look into what had happened in the final meeting between Tremblay and the Holy Father. The voting begins and everybody writes their favorable candidates' names on the ballot paper. Lawrence usually votes for Aldo, and as everybody finishes voting, the counting begins. With Tremblay, Tedesco, and Adami leading, there is also a vote cast for Lawrence, which surprises him and he stares at Aldo thinking it might be him. The counting ends with Adami having the most votes, but it is still far from enough votes to become the Pope. The voting is declared to be reconducted the next morning. Later, as Lawrence talks to O'Malley about Tremblay's resignation, he tells him that he has come to know about a report that has been kept secret. At the bus, Lawrence and Mandrove worry about the current situation of the vote and hope to get the favor for themselves. After the evening, Lawrence talks to Benitez and after some usual chatter, he asks who he voted for. Benitez says that he has voted for him, which shocks and surprises Lawrence, and he tells him that he is not a serious candidate. He also adds that after the conclave, he hopes to resign from his position. Lawrence meets Aldo and regrets that the few votes cast on him have jeopardized his stage. Aldo is worried that both Tedesco and Adami cannot win since they have a regressive mindset and that it is a war they must fight. Lawrence tells him that he has no desire to become the Pope, but Aldo knows it to be false. At night, Lawrence hears a woman screaming outside, and as he seeks to see it, he only sees a sister from behind walking away. The voting begins on the second day. Adami still leads with more votes followed by Tedesco, and Aldo is in third place. And Lawrence has also gotten more votes than previously with having the 5th spot. And Benitez has also gotten a couple of votes. Usually, the vote amount is not close to required, so they immediately proceed for the next voting. The next result brings Adami still on top with 52 votes, much more than previously. Bellini has gotten even fewer votes, this time having the 4th spot, and Lawrence is on the 5th spot, and Benitez has gotten a couple more votes. Apparently, an explosion has occurred in the city and Lawrence demands the cardinals not know about it since it might affect their judgment. At lunch, Adami is heard dismissing his sister and then walking away from the place in anger. Lawrence goes to meet Sister Agnes to learn about it. Agnes dismisses him that she is in her duty to take care of his sisters, but Lawrence orders her since he is in charge of everything. He meets the woman and Agnes constantly tries to break the conversation until Lawrence orders her to leave them be. He assures the woman that she is safe and asks her to tell him anything that bothers her regarding Adami. Since she is vulnerable to speak, Lawrence asks her for her confession. Later, as we imagine she has told the truth, Lawrence goes to meet Adami. Apparently, Adami had a sexual relationship relationship with the sister, either with or without consent, and bore a child. Lawrence warns him that such sexual scandals have no place in the conclave and he has no hope left anymore. Adami starts crying and asks him to sit and pray with him. The next vote results come out and Tremblay is leading now, with Tedesco being in the second spot, and Bellini is in the third, and Lawrence is still just after him with less than 2 votes. And Adami has gotten behind all of them with only 9 votes. Benitez has also gotten a couple of more votes. The votes are still not enough in numbers, and thus it is said to reconduct the next morning. At night, O'Malley wants to tell Lawrence about the explosion, but he refuses to hear it since it will be unfair. He also tells about a revelation of a medical treatment of Benitez that was paid personally by the Holy Father. However, they don't worry about it since he never went for the treatment. O'Malley also says that since Tremblay is a high candidate now, he can look for more on why he might have been asked to resign by the Pope. But Lawrence is tired of finding secrets from his colleagues and doesn't want to do it anymore. At night, on their personal meeting, Aldo says if it goes on like this, the conclave will go on for weeks, which will make Tedesco win, and Tremblay is better, so they can shift for the least worst option. Lawrence is not fond of this idea, but Mandroff says that there is no way they can find a candidate with no dark past. Therefore, Aldo leaves saying that they will all support Tremblay in the next vote. Lawrence goes to meet Benitez and asks him to stop voting for him and vote for Cardinal Tremblay, including asking his supporters to do the same. But Benitez says that he will not vote for a person he doesn't see worthy to be Pope, and he will only vote for him. Lawrence goes to talk to Sister Agnes, wondering who might have caused the woman to come at a destruction for Adami. Agnes leaves him a document on the desk, which after reading, Lawrence looks troubled. He immediately meets Tremblay and asks him to withdraw his name from the ballot. He says that he has come to know that the Holy Father had indeed asked for his resignation for something troubling he has done. He also knows that he had plotted to ruin the reputation of Adami. Tremblay denies all the accusations and blames Lawrence for his greed to become the Pope. Right then, Lawrence goes towards the room of the Holy Father and breaks the seal. He enters the room and searches for documents. Apparently he has found the diary and starts reading it, eventually breaking down. Sister Agnes also gets to know that Lawrence has broken the seal and gotten into the Pope's room. He then finds a document that slides into the bed crack. He finds a document that tells Tremblay was accused of simony, which is buying or selling pardons or benefices. He takes the document to Aldo, who after reading all this and hearing he broke the seal asks him to burn all of it. He says that Tedesco will have the most benefit from all these since he is on the mission to prove the previous church wrong. Lawrence doesn't like it and wonders if Tremblay has offered him a great position for him to defend him so badly. He gets daring and tells Aldo that he lacks the courage to become the Pope. The next morning, Lawrence makes copies of the vital document, which Agnes helps him to. They leave the document at the table of every candidate before their lunch. After it is revealed, Tremblay is angry and announces to everyone it is fake. Tedesco comes in and makes it even more chaotic, saying Tremblay might have offered money to get the votes as well. Everyone breaks into chaos as Sister Agnes stops them all. She defends Lawrence and admits the accusations against Tremblay to be all true. Adami calls him a traitor and leaves. Later, in peace, Aldo asks forgiveness to Lawrence and wants to know if he has chosen a candidate by now. Aldo says that Lawrence himself is the only one who can beat Tedesco and become the Pope, and Lawrence agrees. He eventually votes for himself. Just as he casts the vote, an explosion occurs, making the glass fall onto them. Later, as they recover, Lawrence announces that a car bomb has exploded in the city nearby and a person with a strap explosive also has attacked. The death toll is 52, with over 100 being injured. Tedesco blames the situation of the church and everybody who has been involved in it so far. He screams about how this has become a religious war and they all should be ashamed of themselves for tolerating Islam, and they should choose him as their leader who will fight the animals. Meanwhile, Benitez stands up and asks him politely what does he know about war. He shares his experience in Kabul. He shares how he has seen dead bodies piled up before him, both of Christians and Muslims. This is not the time to pick sides, but look within themselves and protect each and everyone equally. He adds that in the last few days, he has seen them as petty men than anything serious. He says that it might be both his first and last meeting with them, but wants the church to think about what to do next. It should not be about power and tradition. On the next ballot, everyone casts their votes. The results are being counted, and this time they finally have a winner. It is Benitez. He accepts his position, and Lawrence seems to be happy about it. Later, Lawrence is met with O'Malley, who reveals him a secret he has come to know. The visit to Benitez's hospital, which the Pope personally paid for, was not to a hospital but to a clinic. He is not a cisgender man. He is intersex, having both male and female body parts. Hearing the truth, he immediately goes to meet Benitez and he tells him the treatment was for a hysterectomy to operate the female organs, which he refused to do. He tells Lawrence that he has only gone to understand it in his 30s when attempting an appendix operation. He had offered his resignation to the Holy Father for it felt like a sin to him, but he refused and he suggested surgery. However, before the night of the operation, he refused to change himself and remain as God had made him. Eventually, Benitez is made the Pope and Lawrence leads on with his life in the church. At most, Conclave is a movie steeped with class performances, outstanding direction, and excellent sound design. It is a complex story, not easy to understand in the first watch. One might read the novel, revisit the film, or watch a recap like this. The film won't quite make an appeal to those who ordinarily won't watch movies. This is a precisely quiet film with an intellectually political essence that is not for all audiences. It is a genuine watch for those interested in any kind of political drama. Both the performances by Ralph Fiennes and Stanley Tucci are remarkable, and the beautiful combination of the cinematography and score has the excellence that can't be denied. Overall, we give it 3.5 stars. So that was the video. For more recap or explained videos like this, subscribe to the channel and also check this video out as well.